Well, I just got back from watching Joker Folié Déux, or however you pronounce that second title. I mean, seriously, who decided to come up with that title? Whose idea was it? I can't pronounce it. Just call it Joker 2. It's the sequel to the first Joker movie that came out all the way back in 2019, and was really impressive because it was the first R-rated movie to gross $1 billion. That's right, $1 billion. Most R-rated movies don't gross that much, or gross big numbers at all, because of a lot of key factors, including gore, sex, nudity, violence, swearing. Lots of reasons why R-rated movies tend to not make big numbers, but Joker managed to pull it off because it was just that good. Not only was the cinematography well done, Joaquin Phoenix's performance was also really memorable and fantastic, and the music was just stellar, but also because of its messaging. The story tells a really decent message about society and how people just can act like dicks to each other, and that might end up making some people snap because they just had a bad day and that was their breaking point. And maybe if we just be a little bit more kinder to everybody, the world can be a better place. It's a rather cheesy message, but it's true. Maybe if we just be nice to each other and not try to bully the random mentally ill guy, he won't go around killing people. I mean, it doesn't justify their actions, but it still explains the actions. You still understand why they did it, and maybe it could have been preventable. Either way, it was a really good message that was surprisingly controversial, at least to a certain, mega corporations and political movements that don't agree with that message because it goes against their beliefs. But that's another topic for another day. The point is, Joker was a runaway success, but the real question is, did it needed a sequel? Most movies that are pretty successful do end up getting sequels because a lot of people want to watch more of it, but Joker is one of those rare cases where you don't need to know what happens next. Everybody liked it because it was a standalone origin story for the Joker. The Joker is an interesting DC character because his whole shtick is the fact that he has no backstory. His origin is never explained. And that's what makes him so intriguing. There's a lot of mystery to him. As he once said, if he's going to have a backstory, he prefers it to be multiple choice. And the Joker movie can be seen as one of the many interpretations of how the Joker came to be. So, because of all that mystery surrounding it, and the fact that in the movie itself, it all takes place from Arthur's point of view, you don't exactly know what is real and what is not. It's a very unreliable narrator type of movie where you just don't know what is real and what's not. There's a lot of mystery to it, and because of that, it leaves it up to the audience's interpretation. It makes the story engaging because we want to know what exactly is real, and so we speculate, we theorize what exactly is going on with Arthur Fleck. Especially after the events of the movie, because we technically saw the origin story of the Joker, but how much of it did it actually happen? Or was it all in his head? Does he eventually become the clown prince of crime we all know and love, or does he just remain just a crazy guy who happens to put on a clown mask? Who knows? Then the sequel came along, and not many people were excited because it ends up ruining all those mysteries, all of those amazing theories and mystery and the things that we can interpret, all the speculation. I guess it's all for nothing because we do know what happens next. Joker 2 ends up revealing a lot of the things that happened in Joker actually did happen. So now all of that mystery is gone. We know what happens. But hey, maybe solving the mysteries doesn't necessarily make the movie bad, right? Well, unfortunately, it's not just the ruining of mysteries that makes the movie bad. Now, before I get into the rest of the bad, there are some good things I can say about Joker 2. It's just that the bad outweighs the good. But let's get to the good stuff. For starters, Joker 2 does have some really good cinematography, nice direction. The actors play their parts really well. In fact, I'm surprised Lady Gaga actually did a surprising job at her role as Harley Quinn. Yeah, that's about it. That's all good I can say. The actors did well, cinematography did well, but the story is it's just incredibly disappointing and unnecessary. For starters, it's a musical. Well, a jukebox musical to be specific, because there's basically no original songs except for Lady Gaga's song. Aside from her song, most of it is just from different things, and it just doesn't work, alright? The songs don't work because it doesn't feel like it's progressing the story. A good musical should have its music work to move the plot forward. That's how a lot of the Disney Renaissance movies become classics to this very day. But in Joker 2, the musicals kind of just interrupt the story. It feels more like filler, we understand what the characters are going through, but apparently we need to break into song to let them know what they're thinking instead of progressing the plot forward. So, they just feel more like interruptions and filler, if anything else. It's just highly unnecessary to have those songs in there. But the worst part is just what it does to Arthur Fleck. Now, Arthur Fleck in the first movie works as a character because he starts off as this nobody, this very depressed guy who hasn't achieved anything in his life. But then slowly he starts becoming the Joker of this guy who starts a revolution. He actually is having an impact on society. He's actually getting his message out. He becomes a symbol of revolution, and that's some really good character development. But then this movie kind of regresses all of that. He's back to square one. He's no longer this symbol of revolution who does whatever he wants because he's an insane Joker who doesn't allow society to tell him what to do. He's just back to Arthur Fleck, the same pathetic man who was a nobody. So, you know what I hate that some sequels do? It's the fact that they end up regressing the character development of the first movie. They just go back to square one. What was the point of the development of the first movie if you're just going to reset everything in the sequel? That's what I hate about a lot of sequels. It's just they end up resetting the status quo, and it makes you wonder what was the point of the first movie if it's just going to end up going back to the same part. That's what makes Joker 2 such a bad movie. Arthur Fleck is regressed into this different character, but the worst part is they try to deconstruct the character. And honestly, why did they need to do that? The first movie was a fantasy. It was a story. It was meant to be a Joker origin story. But then the second one's like, yeah, but what if we made it a little bit more realistic? You know, Arthur Fleck doesn't really have what it takes to be the Joker. He's just a random nobody who accidentally became this icon, and now he finally faces the truth. And yeah, it's just the deconstruction was highly unnecessary. It not only ruins the mystery of what Arthur Fleck could have become in the first movie, but also it just misses the point of the first movie entirely about being a fantasy. It was meant to be a Joker origin story, and this second one kind of misses the point of the first one by trying to be more realistic and artsy and deconstructive, and it's just so bad. I haven't even gone to Harley Quinn yet. She's not even called Harley Quinn. She doesn't even act like the Harley Quinn we know in the comics. She's just a random crazy woman who falls in love with the Joker. That's it. There's not much to her character. I mean, we don't get to see her developed in any meaningful way. She's just kind of really there to be the love interest to the Joker and push him forward, and she's not that interesting. I mean, heck, she's not even called Harley Quinn. She's called Lee Quinn. Lady Gaga does a well enough decent job on the performance, but as a character, it's not that good. Not that good. I guess, in the end, this movie is just really disappointing. It misses the point of the first movie. It tries to deconstruct something that didn't need to be deconstructed, and it was overall just a very regressive, boring movie with unnecessary musicals. And if I were to give it a rating, I'd give it a 3-star out of 10. This movie was really disappointing. But then again, did it really need to exist? Like I said, people liked the first Joker movie as a standalone. People didn't want a sequel. And yet we got one anyways, and it ended up being disappointed. So our fears were very validated. Yep, it's just disappointing. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below if you liked this movie or you just didn't like it as much as I did. Make sure to subscribe, like, and all that YouTube stuff. Make sure you follow me on Patreon and give me some of that sweet moolah. Yeah, I have a Patreon now. You can go ahead and donate and become a member now. And there's also a Discord, so you can join that as well. But other than that, I'll see you on the next one.